Hey everyone, it's a Fliss type of week. So this week you're going to see some of my projects that I've been working on at the start of the year, as well as some of the stash that I received over the last couple of months, because I didn't really want to do a full update during December when Chloe and I were doing Flossmas. So I've had some stash come in and I'll show you that. I have some happy mail from a friend and yeah, let's get started. So this year, Chloe and I have already released 2 videos for you. Our first video was a whip parade, so we showed you all the projects that we are bringing into 2022. For those who may be new to our channel, welcome. There is a lot of terminology and acronyms that we use, and a whip is actually what we call a works in progress. So we did a video showing all of our works in progress that we have at the moment. And then the video last week was a finish parade. Now that was actually filmed slightly differently. We still filmed it together, but Chloe did the first section, and then of her projects that she finished, she had 22. Oh my god, that was amazing. And then my finishes were at the end of the video, so if you haven't had a chance to go and see that yet, and you might have just watched Chloe's and didn't realise that I was coming after that, I had 4 finishes. So hopefully this year I will have more of that. I don't mind only having 4 finishes last year because a lot of the finishes that I did have were quite large. Alright, so let's get started. Though this year, it's our school holidays obviously in summer, so I've been able to do a lot of stitching so far in the first 2 weeks of the year, which I am very pleased about. And I've also been tracking my stitching, not on my phone, but also using my stitching planner by the Black Needle Society. Now this came as a part of the resolution bots last year and it's amazing. So we have on the side here, we've got different tabs about the months, and as we go through we do have different challenges that we can start filling in. So I've started to fill a couple of ththese challenges in. I'll go through more about the planner towards the end of the video, but I have been filling it in. I need to go back and fill in yesterday and then do today. So this year in 2022, I decided to start the year with a new start because in 2021 I did no starts at all the whole year other than Frog Wars. That was always going to be the exception for year 2. But other than that, I didn't start anything new. So I was really happy about that, but I was itching for a start. And spoiler alert, I've had 2 starts. But I've also done some other things as well. So the first one I decided to start was on the 1st of January. So this is my new year, new start. And it's the Moonrise Snail by the Black Needle Society. This came in one of the boxes last year. I think it was the Night Garden box. However, there are copies of this available on the vault. And if you use Chloe's code Chloe5, you'll get 5% off your purchase throughout the vault. So this is super cool. It's only tiny. It was about 43 stitches by 43. The call for linen in 36 count French eyelet, which I have 32 count French eyelet, but it wasn't going to be enough to stitch both this. I didn't feel it was going to be enough with black borders to stitch the small Moonrise Snail as well as the Save a Life pattern. So I stitched this with all of the over dyed threads that were also provided in the box. Because they're the similar threads, basically most of them go into the same call for threads as Save a Life pattern. So they have plenty to go for that. Because I didn't feel like I had enough room on the piece of fabric that I have, I decided to go through my fabric stash, and this is an offcut. So this is a piece of 18 count. And it's a longer piece from Colour Cascade. So I'm not actually sure what the fabric name is. I'm not showing you all of it yet because want to show you in a sec. But that's my fabric that I chose to do. And I have plenty on here to do other projects. So I started this on the 1st of January 2022. And surprisingly, I also finished it. But I finished it on the 2nd. So this is my Moonrise Snail. It's on an unknown fabric from Colour Cascades, 18 count. I forgot how much I really don't like stitching on Ada. Isn't it super cute? I think this is so cute and adorable. Stitched with all the Call for threads as well. So the way I started to stitch this, I started with the stages of the moon. Then I went around and did the brown outline of the snail. And then I did the fill-in of the blue and the linen. There is so much fill-in in this. It's deceptively big. I know it's only 43 by 43, but majority of it's full coverage. So from what I did is, I know I did over 600 stitches each day on both the Monday and Tuesday, I think. And it took about 1,200 stitches or so to finish this. But isn't it cute? So we can see on the front here that it's finished into a pin keep. When we had the box, it came with all the finishing supplies. So I will try one day to be brave and I will try and finish it like that. But I think it's cute. And I have plenty of fabric, as we can see here, for other things along. Oh, for those people who would like to see backs of works, here's the back of my work. So it's a little bit more dense than I normally do, but it's because every single stitch is done 1/1 instead of like it's done individually, instead of doing going across the line due to working with the overdyed threads. The second thing I want to show you before we get into the actual projects I'm working on is another new start that I decided to do. So this one I decided to start on the 14th of January, and it's this mini little Pooh Bear kit. And I needed to film this because I am going to give this to my friend. So isn't that adorable? It's one of the Aldi kits that they have released about Winnie the Pooh. Except I didn't like the quote. I changed the quote from saying feeling a little shy to never give up. But other than that, everything else is done with the kit threads as well. And I had most of them left over. What you may have seen on my Instagram is that I actually finished this. And I finished this on the 17th of January. So we're going a little out of order, but isn't it cute? So I decided for the first time to tea dye some Ada. So this was the Ada that came in the kit. And I just didn't like the colour and the way, because it was just white. And the white in this pot here would not be seen very easily on that particular Ada. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try tea dyeing it. So thank you to my friend Amy for all of the questions that she answered about how to tea dye some fabric. And I think it came out perfect. So this is 14 count Ada that's tea dyed by myself, just using some Earl Grey, using the kit fabric. And I changed the quote there to say, never give up. You can see I've used the same hoop that came in the kit, but what I decided to do is I wrapped the hoop here with some ribbon. I wanted to love to have darker blue to matching with this blue, but this is the closest I could get. And I even, on the back, have some coordinating fabric. So I kind of cut some fabric out and I kind of blanket stitched on there. It's not the best finishing. I mean, there are some parts where it's not going to lie perfectly because I also laced it on the inside. The fabric here is actually quite drum tight, so that's really good. I'm really happy with how that came out. But yeah, I am going to give this to my friend because she's going through a hard time at the moment with work, and I think she just needs a bit of pick me up. And Winnie Pooh's one of her favourites. Isn't it cute? I was super proud. So consequently on the 17th of January, I didn't do a lot of stitching. The only stitching I did was basically finish the word never give up in back stitch, and then the rest of the day I spent in FFOing it. So that's my first FFO of the year. The longest part I think took me was to wrap the ribbon around the hoop so that it lay flat, and then the lacing. But I'm very happy with that. And I even got the stripes in the back mostly straight. 2 new starts, but I also finished both of those new starts. So I think that's quite fun actually, but that's because both those new starts are quite small compared to most of my projects are actually quite large. So these projects are not in order, they're just ones that I've pulled out, and there's 2 that I've been working on. Now this one I decided I wanted to get some progress in because I didn't do a lot of stitching on it at the end of 2020. because I started on 31st of December and I didn't work on it at all in 2021. And if you watch my whip parade, you know exactly which project this is. But this is my pandemic sampler by Long Dom Samplers. And this is the cover photo. So you can see I've just got it laminated, so struggling with the glare. And I'm a top left stitcher, so I'm starting on this particular section. Now, if you know where I was when I started, I only had about 128 stitches done. I had two just part of the border. The thread I'm using is Silks for You number 148. And this is the colour. So it goes from the blue to this magenta to this purple. And it's quite interesting stitching with it, especially with a design that's quite complicated with motifs. But I'm pleased with the amount of progress that I've been able to do. And I worked on this for 7 days. So I started with 128 stitches at the beginning of the week. And then over those 7 days, I did 2,091 stitches. And this is what I have so far. I've posted photos of this one on Instagram, and my Instagram has been blowing up about this. So this is what those colours look like. Can you see that variegation of the thread? I've had to do a little bit of fussy cutting sometimes with some of those motifs, but not a lot. And I think it is just stunning. You can really see those colours coming up. This is stitched on just plain 36 count white even weave, one thread over 2 strands, and I think the coverage is fine. Sometimes when you look a bit close, it's a little sparse at the start, but I think for this type of work, it's going to be fine. I had a lot of fun trying to figure out how I was going to stitch the bird, and thankfully my colour, the lengths between it actually lined up. Really proud of this motif here, about how it just, the symmetry of it and how it actually links in. And then what I'm going to do from there when I pull it out next is I'm probably going to go down and do this motif again here and try to do it here because there's other filling in the middle. And I kind of like trying to use the same threads. I've also have a whole heap of thread than this one. Let's just pull this one out. I've just braided this one to show that this is the one I'm working on. These ones over here, the lengths I'm working on at the moment on those motifs, and then these lengths here are for when I get back to doing the border. But I'm pleased to get 2,000 stitches in a week. I mean, that's because I'm on school holidays, we've been watching tennis. I did calculate that it would take, if I did 200 stitches a day, roughly for the rest of the year, it would be finished. It's not going to happen because I've got too many other things I want to do as well. So once I finished Pooh Bear, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Because I knew that if I didn't pick anything up straight away, I'd have a finish hangover. And I wanted to keep stitching, and I haven't missed a day of stitching so far this year. So I wanted to keep that going. So I decided to actually pick up what I worked on straight after finishing Moonrise Snail, because it was on the snaps. I've seen Chloe working on it as well, and I wanted to catch up. And yeah, so I've been working on my Slytherin crest. So it's still on the Q-snap, but I have just undone the bottom part here. And this is by, on Etsy, DM Stitch, which is Darya someone. And it's going to be of our Slytherin crest, of our danger needle. I'm going to insert a photo in, but at the beginning of the year, I was only around 16% complete on my Slytherin. So I had barely done any of this border. I had done the tongue and some of the half stitch and his face. So when I picked it up originally for those 6-7 days, I finished out all of this half stitch in here and up here, and then I brought the border up and I've done the back stitching. Only when I picked it up last night, or yesterday's, when I decided to fill in this section, which is the deeper browns and those yellows. But this is a stunning piece to work on. There is so many blends that are not just done with the half stitch, but also with the full stitch as well. It just really gives that depth of dimension, and I love it. My fabric here is a 32 count even weave. It's called Springtime by Sewitall. It's one of those printed fabrics because the back is white. And I'm actually really pleased with the back of my project as well. It's like coming around, there's not many knots, there's a couple of threads I need to do, but I have been loving it. And as of last night, I am at 33% complete. I'm hoping to get it to about the 50% complete, because then that's on par where my Ravenclaw is, and then I might switch and do some work on Ravenclaw. But what I'm doing at the moment is I'm going to continue this border up and finish this page here. So the pattern's divided into 6 pages, but I don't really take account of pages because I've actually inserted this into Pattern Keeper. The only thing that was fiddly to do was looking into the half stitches and with the blends. You can easily put blends in on Pattern Keeper when you put in your legend. You just have to put your 2 colours in. And then to make sure I know that it was a half stitch, I do the top number, and then if it's a blend, I'll put in the next number. And then instead of just leaving it as a number, I'd go across and then write half. And then I always knew that when it came to that symbol that was a half stitch, but it was still a blended thread. I did that same with regular stitches too. So if they were like regular half stitches that weren't blends, I'd do like the number like 518, and then in a blend, I'd make it a blend, but to say it was like a half stitch, like a half, again, I knew that was a half stitch. I might try and put a photo in somewhere of what that looks like, but it made sense in my brain. I've done it for Raven and for Slytherin, and I find I've stitched really quickly doing it that way compared to stitching it in other terms. Before we get on to any of the stash and happy mail, I just want to show you something about how I've been tracking and showing my progress over these first 2 weeks. So I'm going to insert a video in here about what it's looking like. So I've been using the Notes app on my iPhone, and I've been putting it as in like statistics. So I've done statistics of 2022. I really need to go back and actually put in photos of my Moonrise Snail, but I didn't think of doing this until I started working on Slytherin. Now, as you go through, you can see I just have a beginning stats of where I'm at to. So for Slytherin Crest, it's 2,381, so 16%. And I put a photo in there of where I started. Then as we go down, you can see that I've started with some progress. So on the 2nd of January, I stitched 430 stitches, a total of 19%, and I just inserted the photo. And we can see again, as I go down to the 3rd, we can see the difference. I've been able to do 396 stitches. There are some days I get more stitches than others. Again, for this one here, 485. And it's just a nice way that you can actually track and see what your progress is. I know that I might insert this later on into like Good Notes or into Notability, but just while I'm trying out and seeing how I'm going, I've actually quite enjoyed just taking photos. Now here we can start to see the difference between the back stitch and the non-back stitch. And I also put some details in saying I did 2,300 stitches on Slytherin in 6 days. Some of those were half stitches, and I also didn't include the back stitching. Then I did the same for Pandemic. I put in my model picture of Pandemic, my starting point, which is pretty pathetic. Then the first day I finished out some more border. The second day I put in some more motifs, and we can start to see how they increase. So this one I just zoomed in quite closely on that motif. Some of the lighting's a bit iffy, but that's okay. Bringing in the bird, and where we finished. I've also then put in some new starts about where I started with my Winnie the Pooh. So the first day, 661 stitches. Second day, 658. Then I did all the back stitching and the bees, and then the FFOing. And then just starting again for my Slytherin. So hopefully that can be inserted in. I think it's really cool the way I've done it. I might need to change app soon because it's starting to get a little bit slow just because there's probably so many photos in there. But I've also been using my journal to do some challenges. So I've put in Stitch on a Gift, which is my Winnie the Pooh mini Ada. This one is the A to 7 challenge, and most of my projects so far have actually fit on here. So I've put in Moonrise Snail, Pandemic, Slytherin Crest, Winnie the Pooh. I haven't really made any stitchy goals, and I haven't really done a web bow yet because I'm still trying to figure that out. This one here is a word of the year, which is appreciation. So I put in Pandemic for P. And then here is a bingo. So this can be finishes. I also may turn it into things that I've worked on or got like page finishes potentially. But I had one marked off for Winnie the Pooh, a project that has word or phrases, and Moonrise Snail, which is a project that has a snail. Then we go into January and we just have a spread out so far. So I've just put in some people's birthdays and some things I need to remember. Now, I wasn't sure how I was going to do these daily tracking parts of the journal, but I'm pleased with what I've come up with. So here's what I've done so far, and you can see, because I've been on school holidays, I've done quite well. This one here we can see as all the different type of stitching progresses. So the purple says it's been good stitching, green is some, red is no stitching, and blue is other crafts. I outlined the 17th to say in blue because I know that that was the day that I did a lot of FFOing. On this page over here, you can put in your focus projects and look at the days you're stitching on them. So I've done green for other projects, purple for stitched, and then red will be for no projects, like no stitching at all. So I didn't want to put all of my projects on there, especially when they've just been the small starts and finished. Then we came into what we're stitching on in January. So here it says works in progress. I've put not just like my new starts, but I've also put in some whips and days that I've been working on them with different color codes. So we can see that the red days that start and finished are my whips that I'm working on. And so I will put in Slytherin Crest again down here, and then how many days, just so I can track them in order, because sometimes I pick stuff up, put it down, pick stuff up. Then we get into the daily spreads, and I'm really pleased about this, but I've been filling in. I'm not normally good at this. So I've been filling in what I've stitched on each day, and I've also been doing a bit of a weekly tally over here about my stitching. There are some days where I've also put some personal things in, but that's not much at the moment during the holidays. So the first week of January, so that was from the 3rd to the 9th, I did a total of 2,767 stitches. Then just finishing off last week, which was the 10th to the 16th, I did 2,584 stitches. So again, this is the week we're working on now. There's some personal things in there because there's some birthdays coming up. And I've been finding some cute little stickers that I'm slowly putting into. So hoping to continue to use my journal, especially coming into school. We go back to school next week and the week after, which I'm not going into because it's a whole nother ball game and we're not going into it. Alright, so stash. So things that I have bought and that have come in the mail over the last 3 or 4 months. So this is like over a long period of time. Some of those things is we have a friend Amy, and she introduced us to these mag eyes. So these are like ones that we can actually clip onto our glasses to use for magnifying, which I'm hoping to use when I get back onto doing some 32 count 1/1 stitching. And so both Chloe and I have a pair. We bought them from the Scissoroo guy online, and at the same time we could not help but get these cute scissors that are kangaroos. So these are gorgeous. They're really nice to stitch with, scissors with. They're very clean. Aren't they adorable? So we got kangaroos. I haven't used them yet. They're still staying in their protective cases, but I will use them soon. I must have been on the scissor kit because I went looking for scissors for my niece, because my niece has just been able to get back into cross stitching. So I made her a scissor fob, a zipper pull, and some needle minders. And there's some bags coming soon. So I went looking for scissors. So I found these scissors that she also has a pair of, and they're like an ombre blue to purple. And then I found my favourite type of scissors that I can never find anymore, but these are in blue. I normally like them in purple, but these are really nice. So I must have been on a scissor kick. Then towards the end of last year, Chloe and I did an order with Janet because I needed some threads. Chloe wanted to buy some beads for her memorabilia. And then I decided, because I know that beads are going to be a bit iffy in finding, that I just bought all the beads that I needed for all the memorabilia that I have that are missing. So I'm not going to go through all of them. I have some organising and labelling to do with some of my beads nowadays from there. But I didn't just get beads from Janet. I also decided to get some patterns. So one of these was on a back order, which has arrived. And I've been seeing everyone doing all the Christmas stitching, and I decided to get the Christmas samplers 1 and 2. I will be changing fabric, and I cannot see the colour of the threads on here, so I'll be changing those threads because I find that you just cannot see it. But I do love the wording on both of them. So everyone who's been doing them the last 2 years, I've now been enabled by you, so thank you. I also decided to buy this one, which is Hello Spring by Cottage Garden Samplings. Hopefully she's done some other ones for like summer, winter and autumn. But I just love that, and especially love like the butterflies. I was lucky enough on Stash Unload in Australia to find an out of print pattern that nearly completes my collection. So this is Spring Queen by Mirabilia, which is out of print. So I have summer, winter and spring. I just need to now find autumn, and then I'll have the queens. Last thing to come in the mail actually went on a bit of a missing trip. So this is some fabric from Be Stitch Me. It arrived in Australia in September. It didn't arrive to me until December. So I did a bit of a trip around Australia. I might have just stuck in some holding. And this is stuff from like, I think July, August. I do have more fabric, but they're sitting with a friend at the moment in the US because UPS is not liking Australia. So there's 4 pieces of fabric here from Be Stitch Me. This one here is a 40 count in Stonehenge, and it's a half yard, so it's a large piece of fabric. So I'm just going to hold it this bit up. It's a nice grey, and I think I know exactly what's going to be stitched on here. So I have a green and red silk from the Silks for You 12 Days of Christmas, and I bought a Christmas pattern, and I'm going to be putting that on here. I love the mottling on it and how the grey's coming out. It's a little bit darker than what you're seeing on screen, but it is stunning, and this is 40 count. I think it's the Vidal because it's like still an even weave, which is brilliant. I wish there'd be more places in Australia that would actually do 40 count even weave compared to just linen. This one is a 32 count Lagana. It is an 18 by 17 piece called Neptune, and it's wonderful blue. There we go. Again, stunning. Absolutely stunning. I know that I'll find something to put on there because 32 count is one of my favourite counts to work on. This one is also 32 count, but instead of Lagana, it is Jobelin, and this one is called Grog. Look at that neutral. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So this one is a bit longer. It's a 18 by 34 piece, which is fine. I know that I have a lot of bright colours in my stash, so I've been trying to go for some more neutrals just to have some options. And then the last piece I have here is a half yard, a 32 count Jobelin. And this one, what was it called? It's called, there's no name on it, but it is stunning. It's a bit washed out. You can see the contrast there now. It definitely goes between this tealy blue to these purples and these lilacs. And it's a quarter yard. Not a quarter yard, a half yard. So Absolutely stunning. Last thing to show you is some happy mail. I was able to get a couple of cross stitch things from one of my friends for my birthday. She did a whole pile of things, and in there she included 2 little kits. So this one is a little butterfly, because we all know how much I love butterflies. It's the Patron cross stitch kit, and that won't take at all long to finish. And then this one is a DMC kit as well. It's butterfly, and yes, she knows me very well. So stunning. So I'll probably exchange the fabric, and then maybe I'll have some fun trying to dye that Ada and then give it away or something, because I found out that while Ada's easy to stitch on, it's probably not my preferred fabric anymore. And last thing is Amy. Amy made us bags a while ago, and of course I haven't shown them on here, but she made us these amazing scissor bags. So we have the scissor fabric, which is stunning, and then we also have in here a corresponding thread keep. So she puts batting on the inside where we can put like loose threads here. I normally put my orts in here, and it's just as great because it's a bit larger. And then so I need to do some new starts, because I've got more bags now than I have starts. But that's okay. I'm not going to say what I'm going to keep working on and what you're going to see by the next video, because at the moment I'm going to work on Slytherin, but then I could change my mind and start something now I'm in the starting mood, or I could pull out one of my other projects. I don't know. I know that I need to do a whip go board, because I still haven't done my whip go board, because I can't decide on what I want to work on. But I will be trying to do that soon, and we do start doing some prep days next week for school. So I'll be getting back into school time in the next 2-3 weeks, however that's going to look. But I'm enjoying watching the tennis and doing stitching, and that's what I'm going to do now that this video is going to be uploaded. So I hope that everyone has enjoyed this, and again we thank everyone who is subscribing. We have had a bit of a jump in subscribers recently. We love your comments, so please comment down below. I'm getting better at responding to them, so please comment. Chloe and I love to hear from you. Next week should be a combined video with Chloe and I. We might do a stitch with us, we might do something else, we'll see what happens. But until then, stay safe, be happy, and craft something beautiful. Bye!